Being sheltered is a way to oppress someone, and it has long-term consequences. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. Be sure to go back and watch that previous creator's video. I think she makes a lot of great points. Parents who shelter their children, there's a number of reasons why they do this. They may do this as a way to as a form of an extreme adverse reaction. Maybe they went through something when they were younger, or they've seen something happen to someone. So basically it can be an extreme trauma response that they push on to their children. And so they feel like, oh, the best way to protect my children is to shelter them, not allow them to date, not allow them to have friends, no sleepovers, no nothing. However, they shelter their children without educating their children. So they have this, extreme trauma response, but they don't tell them why, or explain the importance of that, nor are they open to listening to feedback. Most children have needs. Not only that, but when you see your own peers going out and having a good time and getting to know people and so on and so forth, naturally you want to do that too. You want to have that same experience, like prom, going out for, athletic teams and dance and so on and so forth. The list goes on, or just wanting to go with your friends on an outing to the mall or to a restaurant. Children are curious. They want to grow. They want to explore. They want to, connect with their environment. Other reasons that parents neglect or, isolate their children, I should say, from the world is from being mean. So they don't like their children. They don't want their children to connect with the outside environment. But most importantly, they know what they're doing is abusive, and they want that abuse to stay inside the house. They're not interested in any feedback. They're not interested in any community. They're not interested in getting any help. They just want to abuse and oppress their children without anyone say so, and they are fully aware of what they're doing, and they don't care. Their belief is children should not be seen, should not be heard. They should be complete servants to me, and they want their children to stay oppressed, because as long as someone is oppressed, they're not a free thinker. They're not a free speaker. They're not a writer. They're not a communicator. They don't have an identity. They are an indentured servitude for that parent for the rest of their life. And I can tell you this from personal experience. I've worked with many men and many women that even as adults, their parents feel like, okay, as soon as I tell my child to jump, regardless of whatever hardship they must endure, I want my child to do whatever I tell them to do and not ask me any questions, because I'm the parent. And there are many adult children of toxic parents that are still talked to like children, like infants, they have no common sense. Even after they're grown, they have a job, the parents are not curious about their identity. The parent sort of relishes on the fact that your emotional intelligence, your growth, your ability to socially connect is stunted. So they relish on that fact, and they know that, hey, I did that, and this child is never going to go anywhere, and they're always going to be at my beck and call, and I don't care how their life is impacted. My whole plan is I don't want them to grow. I don't want them to connect. I want them to be here, to be there for me always and forever, right? And so that there are people that are extremely mean, that have selfish reasons, and they don't want their children to connect. Other reasons that parents may do this that I've seen, and this kind of is a combination between the first two things that I said, is extreme paranoia. People can be extremely paranoid, and that can go hand in hand with personality traits, right? Where a person can be just mean and also be paranoid. So there's a clinical element, and then there's also a personality characteristic element to it, where they're just like, people are out to get me, they're out to get me through my children, and there's nothing really to substantiate that. There's nothing really to substantiate that. It's just there. And so it's like, it's something that they feel like they need to do. Lastly, there are parents that never wanted to have children. They are angry, they are bitter, they are resentful that they never wanted to have children, and the children just came by happenstance, even though we all know that that wasn't really how it worked, right? But they never wanted children. They didn't ask to be a parent. And so no, the answer is no to everything. I am angry at you. I am angry at the world for putting me in a position to force me to have children. Therefore, because my growth was stunted, because my ability to go out and have friends and go to the club and, have a free life and travel the world is stunted, I'm going to pass on my anger, my bitterness, my resentment to my children. The message is very clear. I hate you as my child. I hate the world. I hate the predicament that I've been put in. So therefore I'm going to pass that down to my children, and you are going to feel the burn of my hatred for the parenthood that I've now been forced into against my will, for the simple fact that I was not allowed to grow and prosper in a way that I would like. So therefore I'm going to make damn sure that you don't either. And all of this, by the way, has nothing to do with a child. And children grow up not only emotionally and socially stunted and in chasing for love, right? So they look for crumbs of love, which is why breadcrumbing from abusive partners and jobs and other places and other people are so promising and such a huge letdown, because a lot of times these are children that have been emotionally stunted, that have been searching for love, that have been searching for connection, have been searching for community and companionship, and just looking to connect, but they just don't have the skills to do so. And psychology tells us that children who continue to be rejected, right, don't fare well. And children who are rejected and neglected, they don't fare well, and they continue to struggle with that throughout their life. Sorry, there's cars driving by. So they continue to struggle with that, and with every, those patterns just keep continuing within every relationship, so that narrative gets replayed over and over and over again. So parents are sabotaging their children for a number of reasons, and they hate children to be individualized, right? They want their children to be a complete servant, not think for themselves. And when a child becomes an individual, when they become a free thinker, that child is viewed as a threat. Typically, they no longer want anything to do with them. And that becomes, then you become the scapegoat, then you become a threat to the family, and so on and so forth. You're ostracized, you're excommunicated, because this happens in religions too. There's so many different ways in where you could just be kicked out of every community or shunned from every group and community for being a free thinker. Not even a radical, but just someone is like, I don't think that's right, or I don't necessarily agree with that, and so I actually have a different opinion, blah blah blah. You're shunned for that, and so you very quickly get, you continue to experience that rejection. It's very harmful. It takes years to undo that, in which they, that programming, you literally have to reprogram your brain to learn how to do life all over again.